Hmm. I wonder sometimes about just how far we go as a people, and every time that I'm doing this show, I just slowly but feel that disillusionment coming back all the time. And it's not because of the nature of the work and all, it's because the idiocy that surrounds it. And then, like, when people start to get really, really into, like, the celebrities that they do not even know. And then all of a sudden, if they ever have the chance to meet said celebrities, and they see exactly how human and how screwed up of a human that they are, then all of a sudden things just go to pot. But hey, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's start it up just right. Welcome to the J-Man Show here on
J360 Radio!
Hey, how's it going, J360 Legion? What is happening? Nope, nope, nope. You are not deceived. This is the J-Man Show for episode 329, and I'm your host, J-Man, of course, and it is good to be here again on J360 Radio. And let me just tell you this, it's still pretty wet out there, but let me just tell you this, at least all the heavy rain and everything is gone, and man, I'm gonna tell you this though. I don't know how the future is gonna be looking. It's pretty bleak right now. But let me just tell you this. I wonder about Delaware sometimes because a lot of that water is superhuman as hell. And I'm sure that, Sussex County, the lowest county down in Delaware, not lowest in structure and everything else, but it's the lowest one. I'm sure that's flooding out just right. Because, see, Delaware's flatland, baby. There ain't no mountains here. So if, like, that sea level rising, Delaware gone. It's going to be the 49 states. I think Puerto Rico has mountains, though, don't it? Like, I never went. So, one of these days I need to go ahead and travel over there sometime. I hear that, they got some beautiful scenery over there, and I need to, meet some more women. But, hey, enough about me. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well and everything. I mean, we're getting that much closer to summer and all that jazz, and we're in April now officially, so that's a beautiful thing. I think this is the first J-Man show of April, and indeed, I'm getting the showers, man. Like some of the stuff that rained out the Phillies opening day came over here. So, it's not bad, not bad. And it's also WrestleMania week, so I'm excited to see how that goes down. And like I say, I think... Is Roman finally giving up the belt, though? Because the storyline is aight, but I think it's time for a new reign, if you get my whole thing. But all in all, we'll have to see what happens. And then not only that, let's go ahead and talk about our feature presentation, shall we? You've seen it all the time. You saw it during football season. You saw it during, like, anytime these celebrities do certain things. You notice that it trickles down and other people start imitating it. Stan culture, if you will. Being a super fan. Yeah, you gotta always be there. If one way or another, if their social security number is displayed, you'll have it tattooed on you somewhere because you think you're closer to that person than need be. I always wonder about stan culture. I really do. Like, like when I'm at conventions or when I'm like walking around events, taking photos and, making videos and stuff. I see like some of the super fans out there acting really, really abnormal as can be. And then they start doing a whole lot of wild stuff where they start climbing on top of vehicles, dancing on vehicles, or trying to reenact like certain things from movies that they saw and all this stuff. Because, you just had to cosplay Deadpool and play the whole damn line of it. It's amazing. I mean, like, I like the energy that they put into, their admiration for, like, pop culture things and items, and then, like, characters that are in comic books. And then, of course, like, there's the real life people, too. It's just, there's something very enjoyable about it. But then there's a dark side, as there usually is to everything. When people go too far. Or when, like, people realize that, meeting your heroes can lead to a whole lot of disappointment. You understand what I'm saying? For me, for instance, like, a lot of musicians that I idolized, along with a lot of comedic artists that I've idolized, and a lot of other people that I grew up listening to throughout the well, I didn't come into play until like 86. So let's say throughout a little bit of the 80s, going into the 90s, and going into the early 2000s and such, a lot of those people have passed on. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them left some great art for me to study up and actually get to know and acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like Richard Pryor's greatest stuff. Like, oh my God. Like he will always be number one comic, you know? And then Eddie Murphy's up there too. And then of course, hey, we can't turn down people like Red Fox, and then like Rodney Dangerfield, and of course like Sam Kinison, and Joe Flattery just died not too long ago. And there's Count Floyd is no longer with us, and nobody was really talking about it except for Adam Sandler, and he's another icon too. He didn't die per se, but what I'm saying is that these are people that I looked up to, studied their art, but I also don't hope to meet them. You know why? Because it's like I don't want to be disappointed meeting that real person and all. That's kind of the thing it is. It's just like they say never meet your heroes, and that's why sometimes in a way I'm glad I never got to meet like the people that created the comic books that I like. Because, I told you all about the John K story. Like, what was interesting was I was going to reach out to him and talk to him. I was actually going to try to bend that rule because I'm like, hey, maybe he could give me some animation pointers. But I'm kind of glad I didn't talk to him because of all of the controversy that came out. But, it's really wild about that. See, I live in Delaware. So Delaware's kind of far from people and stuff. It's its own little world in a way, but it's wonderful. But you see, a lot of the celebrity cultures over there in Cali and all the other metropolitan areas, like you get them over here sometimes, especially when they're trying to hide out from New York and all that stuff. You get them over here, but it's not always on like a grand scale like it is over there at those other spots. And I mean, like it's cool, and I'm not mad at it, but it's like, things are relatively peaceful. But what I'm saying is also when things are on their radar, and like there's a whole lot of stuff going on with celebrities and all this other stuff, like the people that follow them, the people that obsess over them. And then there's the moment where they're really obsessed with themselves, and then they do a whole lot of things, and then those things don't have like the positive impact that they hope it does. It has a lot of negative reinforcement behind it. It becomes a real issue. And I mean, looking at a few of them right now, like looking at like the way y'all still call him Diddy. I'm not calling him Diddy. Nope, he doesn't deserve that name. That name goes back to Diddy Kong, where it belongs. This motherfucker is Puff Daddy. He never retired that name at all. He's been doing this gangster crap for quite some time. It's just a lot more sex and a lot more grossness to it. And what was crazy back when it was like West Coast rap versus East Coast rap, he was the East Coast rap, outside of like Russell Simmons and all. But at the same time, it's like when you think about it, like focusing on Diddy and stuff like that, focusing on Puffy, he gets his old name back. He said he changed his name because it was getting him in trouble. No. He's still over there as Puff Daddy, motherfucker. He ain't changed. All this stuff's just coming out of the woodwork. Not even with just the sexual abuse that allegedly happened with a few females that were involved with stuff going on at Bad Boy Entertainment, but a lot of the men that were involved in it too. It's wild, man. And then not to mention all the stuff with Usher as well. But it's like this, though. When you look at somebody like Puff Daddy and stuff like that, it actually fits. You see what I'm saying? It's actually true to form about what he did. Now, we have to use allegedly because we don't really know all the details that happened, but you can't have like raids going on in two of your homes and stuff right down there in Miami, Florida, without somebody being like, yeah, there's a little bit more to this. And then what really gets me? This guy's such a narcissist that he'll go ahead and he'll say, oh man, it's just, he's there with his publicist saying this was all part of a movie. I'm like, what the hell are you lying for, dude? We fucking know what you did. Stop going around here saying this nonsense, man. Like, he's still trying to fight off them lawsuits, but charges are mounting. So we haven't seen too much of anything yet, but like I said, it's gonna keep piling up. But what's really shameful is that right now he's akin to what Bill Cosby and Jonathan Majors, quite a lot of black artists are going through it. You know what I mean? Quite a lot of them are going through it, and quite a lot of them are getting found out and all this other extra stuff. And like I say, you usually do have people in there that are over there plotting your downfall and stuff like that. There are people that will take time out of their day and hope that you will fail. And then they'll try to work with you and try to make it seem like you're the problem and go ahead and backstab you. It's similar like how like all those conspirators went against Julius Caesar at the time. But not to say that P. Diddy isn't Julius Caesar. But what's funny is a lot of y'all in my age group go and make fun of this man, but you loved him. You loved him just as much as his victims, he hoped that loved him too. Because you know why? A lot of y'all were wearing Sean John stuff. A lot of y'all were spraying Sean John on you, which is pretty much like akin to Diddy putting his essence on you. And you pretty much loved every bit of it. Come on, don't think that you didn't. A lot of y'all were inspired by this person. And then you find out that he's a sex fiend. Or you find out that Lizzo is a sex fiend. Oh, yeah. By the way, Lizzo came out of the woodwork. Did you guys read, the whole thing about her I quit message? Where she made a definite statement that she did not sign up for this shit. She didn't want to be the butt of the jokes. She didn't want to be, all of these things that people disparagingly called her after, a lot of her crap is cringe anyway. But you see, the thing about it is, all that stuff that she did to her dancers, and there were 3 dancers behind you, that said what had happened when they went to that bar over there in Amsterdam and all that stuff. Like how she forced them to be a part of the performance and to eat the bananas that were lodged in the performers' vaginas and stuff. Like Lizzo was so abrasive and abusive about that and orchestrating all that stuff. And she can't even own up to it, just like Diddy, Puffy. I said Diddy earlier, I know, but it's like, yeah. Just like how Puffy couldn't handle it earlier. It's like, look, we know what you did. We know of the allegations around you. The best thing you can do is just save face and speak. You know what I mean? Say what is on your mind about this stuff. Address it. But of course, as celebrities address things, because you all saw it when Dan Snyder did his addressing about what he did all those years at Nickelodeon, which is so depressing. I mean, you're talking about the guy who helped create all that and Kenan and Kel and all those other shows. It's just ugh. All this stuff is just cringe, man. It's just making you throw up. The Me Too movement was already sickening enough, but there are still people out there still in the seedy underbelly of Hollywood or any of the other outlets of Hollywood, because New York's included, doing all of this bull. And it gets to the point where with Lizzo, going back to her, instead of, she pops back up on social media after her great statement and backtracks it. I'm sure you all seen the video. I'm not going to put it on the J-Man show because obviously I don't give a damn about this woman. And while we're on the subject, I'm using it as an example that we'll tie up to later in the episode. But her whole thing is, she's like, I'm going to quit giving negative energy attention. I'm like, namaste, bitch? Is that what you want? You're going to quit giving negative attention, energy. You're going to quit giving negative energy attention, huh? Really? How you going to say this stuff when the negative energy came from you? You know what I mean? What is she thinking? Okay? She was there with those dancers, making those dancers do things that they're not paid for. It's just like with Puff Daddy being there with, Cassie and all the rest of those girls and misusing and abusing him. All the rest of those young men that thought they were going to be executives, and instead they were going to be over there playing around with the jock game and stuff. Ugh. Boy bites, you know what I mean? Gross. But, all that stuff going on right there, and they can't even own up to it. All the evidence around, they can't even be like, I was wrong for what I did, but I know that I will fight for my name. Stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But they can't do it. See, the thing about Lizzo is Lizzo can't quit. Lizzo got contract obligations. Somebody came and spoke to her about herself, set herself right. There's always somebody ready to yoke you on in, especially when you think you in control of stuff like that. So you got to look at your celebrities and wonder who makes the contracts, who's signing the contract, and who's just getting fucked royally. Because like there are some celebrities out here, sure, they got an apartment, sure, they got all this other stuff that you wish you had, but they're not getting paid for the work that they put in. If they're putting in any work, I'm sure the songwriter is probably making tons more bank than any of them are doing. And the mixer and the recorder and everybody else that's working in studio, but they'll probably bring her in a little bit later so she can go ahead and get her vocal track together. But hey, we won't discuss the evils of the music industry entirely tonight. Or how fake everything is. Like I said, disillusionment sets in when you see this stuff. And what's really disheartening is not to me, it's to the young crowd out there. I could go ahead and talk about Taylor Swift, but you see the thing about Taylor Swift is, once again, it's her fans and the publicists that surround her that make her annoying and irritating. I mean, her music, not bad. All the stuff that she does, that's on her. I mean, she's doing good for herself. But all that stuff about the romances and everything, the media love to shove that down our throats. And the thing about it is that, she'll happily show that out there because she knows this. Remember that big forced kiss that we all saw at the end of Super Bowl this year? Same thing. But once again, it's like all the stands that eat it up. And here's another thing, too. It's good to be inspired by somebody, but if you start acting like you're having conversations with them and they're nowhere in the room where you are and you're sitting right there and going on and on about all these other things, like you're never going to meet them. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you probably will go to an event. Will you get close to them? I don't know. If you're lucky to do so, chances are you're probably not going to be there talking too long. You'll probably talk just enough. And even this, she'll know you for that moment, but she won't remember and stuff. She's going to move on like anybody else does because here's the thing. That's what celebrities do. Meeting and greeting your fans is awesome. There's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, you probably won't remember as much on that level that you think it is. You see? And not only that, if you catch them at a time where you're seeing them being human for a change or getting upset when they didn't get certain alkaline water or whatever, because some of them will do that. It's like if you met Zendaya and you found out Zendaya can be a real bitch sometimes. Yeah. A whole different thing than the little Disney princess you thought that you were going to meet, right? Or you go ahead and you meet Miley Cyrus and you find out that Miley Cyrus is very raw with the way she does things and you're not used to it. Or what was her name? Colleen Ballinger and what she did to her fan. You got people out here that'll mistreat their fans, something awful. And then, of course, you got some people on the fan side that live in a delusional world and cause more problems for other people. You see what I mean? And it's just really, really... of course, the thing is they have a problem with this. People don't know how to actually take the time and talk to their kids about, celebrity lives and all that stuff. Take the time to talk to them and say, look, you can be better than they are. Be inspired by them, but don't live your life according to them. Don't act like you don't have a personality and that you're not a person. You're still developing and growing. These people out here, they've been in the game long enough to be chewed on, to be spit on, and they'll happily do it to other people around them, especially those that have to put up with them every day. It's wild when you think about it because from time to time, I think it's a little bit of both. But you'll see this from time to time on how they act and all this other stuff. I could go ahead and dive into mainstream media painting them this way and all. That's bad too. But it's there are people who over obsess with celebrities and they forget to live for themselves. Or they over obsess with celebrities when they do this narcissistic shit and they can't own up to things. And then in turn, they don't own up to stuff that's going on in their regular lives. They forget that there are young people that see all of what we do, whether we be YouTubers, whether we be Twitch streamers, whether we be podcasters, whether we be or just influencers in general. They all see what we do. And see, the thing about it is with me, I look at you guys, those that listen, those are who are my fans, those are who are waiting to buy some merch, which are also fans, I respect you. The fact that you come here and you listen every week, whether you listen live or in the post game, I respect you. I don't know you entirely, but I do respect you. And like the more and more things keep growing and everything, will we be best friends? I don't know, but we will be acknowledging each other. We will associate, And it's like, I'm not going to make any promises I don't keep. That's the one thing. But, I'm straight up about this stuff because it's like, you never know. I might disappoint you as being human. If it's always something that goes against the narrative out here in the world, I mean, trust me, guys, I'm not politically correct. I never will be. I don't make shows that everybody likes. I make shows that are approachable by everybody, and you take from what it is. You see what I'm saying? Like when I'm having a party, it's jams, baby. When I'm fighting through video games, that's the power play. Or like when I'm here on the J-Man Show telling you about things in a world gone mad because they won't tell you. Now you know why you're here. And it's just like anything else. I'm very disgusted. I've been disgusted about a lot of this celebrity culture shit for quite some time because they think it's funny. They think it's clever when they do this stuff. And amongst their own selves, I'm like, this isn't about the art. This isn't about the music. This isn't about the movies. This is all about like somebody's fetishes coming to life, right? This is all about, hey, I think I'm too big for my britches and I need like somebody to really reach into my britches and see if they can feel around there and stuff. And don't act like you got a will of your own. And a lot of times people, this is about control. And the truth is there are people who abuse and use people all the time. There are people that abuse and use people when they get titles to their name. I mean, some of y'all probably see that at work. I know I saw it when I worked retail. That one manager, most J-Man fans know this, that one manager that was walking around scratching himself right there in public. I looked at that and I was like, I can't believe this shit. I'm like, yo, there's kids in the store. And he stopped scratching himself. Idiot. Probably still out there doing it too. And he was the store manager. He was like the overall store manager doing that nonsense. But that's only in me talking about, quote, local celebrities. Let me talk about, like, of course, that's not really a celebrity. Fuck managers. But what I'm talking about, people in power. When people in power feel as though that they can do whatever they want to do to people, they will go the extra mile to do it. The thing is, you hold them accountable. And, it's not just voice of one. Don't be afraid to be your voice of one. But sometimes you can have your voice of 1, your voice of 10, your voice of 100, your voice of 1,000, and so on and so forth. Everybody that speaks up about it, that is when it starts to shift. And you see, the thing about it is, when you have strength in numbers, you got to remember the reason why you're fighting for things too. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I try to tell you guys, like, you don't ever riot until you really have an understanding and know what the hell you're rioting for. And then when it comes to certain things, like, let's just say if certain things I see are not for me, or I see like any of these females coming out saying like, I'm going to scare the hell out of men, I will not invest in their work. Or like if I see any of these men out here saying, women are our bitches and they need to serve us, I'm not supporting that work. Anybody that's running around here using sexual discrimination, racial discrimination, looks, or any sort of form of stuff like this as a way to justify their otherwise shitty behavior, similar to their horoscopes, I don't want no part of them people. Matter of fact, I'd banish them. And you see that stuff over at the whole Gamergate stuff right now. I kind of had a little bit of a conundrum whether to go ahead and discuss Gamergate again or to discuss like celebrity-induced cringe. And the truth is, I wanted to go ahead and talk about celebrity-induced cringe because that Gamergate shit is just as ridiculous as the first installment is. There is no reason for any of that stuff to be going on. And in a way, it's kind of akin to what we're talking about here today because they're doing cringy stuff over there. Have you ever in your life thought that you would see a whole bunch of gaming developers, and I'm putting quote around that, standing outside in a field and yelling? What kind of innate shit is that? You know, it's gross. It's like at the end of the day, I don't want to talk about, I don't ever want to say grow up because everybody's trying to use that as a way of all this stuff. But get a fucking grip. Like really just get a grip, okay? Some of y'all, like, you don't know we go through, you don't know about the crunch time, you don't know about it. I know enough. And I know that out there, yelling out in the public and all that stuff, it's just as stupid as you think about it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, we all need that moment where we let it out, but not like that, okay? There are other ways you do it. You go to a gym, or you go ahead and you play music, or you go boxing or something like that. Hell, I used to do that. Matter of fact, I'm going back. Go boxing. Go find a way to vent that stuff out in other ways other than yelling out in the field like a dumbass. Yeah, you know? And these are grown people doing this, by the way. These are people that are grown physically, but emotionally stunted. And all these narratives around here are not doing it any favors. And some of that stuff goes into all forms of media. Not just video games, not just music, not just movies, because God knows they're not making projects anymore. The backstage has become the show now. So anything that's about the show, it's kind of like, you know, a cartoon within a cartoon. It's like, you know about it, but you're not here for that. You're here for, like, all the people that are involved around that project. Yeah, so you're seeing all this stuff right here. And while it's really good to hear about, like, people's experiences on different sets and all that stuff, because not every set is clean. I mean, to be honest with you, like, me and Marco brought this up a long time ago on our respected shows and even on Soda, that when you're going into the entertainment industry, all right, you are going in an industry that is known for stomping down, picking up, chewing, and spitting out people. Using people to the point where they don't even know who they are anymore. And then not to mention, there is no HR department in filmmaking or any part of media production. This stuff is, it's innate, and they feel as though they can get away with it because for the longest damn time they did. I mean, you would think that you would have regulations of sorts, and you kind of do, but in very loose terms. And the sad part about it is, it keeps going on. There's always going to be another Brett Ratner out there. There's always going to be another Weinstein out there. There's always going to be another Lizzo out there. There's always going to be like, there's always going to be another Kim Belair out there. We might as well include her and all the rest of those Gamergate idiots, that head writer over at Kotaku that really wants this, that seemingly is happy that this is going on because she'll finally get some attention now. Yeah, you know, I don't care to say her name. And I don't care to talk about her podcast show because everybody has a podcast and all. Which, by the way, shout out to Adam for that show, by the way. Everyone has a podcast. It's named his show. He's a cool dude. But I'm just saying, like, all this stuff that's going on nowadays, these people are not taking responsibility. Gamergate is a good example of you put a whole lot of cringe out in the world and you blame it on your audience. You don't take responsibility, admit you were wrong, and leave it at that and let that die down. No. You take it out on your audience, which is not cool. And then, like, all the stuff going on in movies. Oh, why are movies not selling like they used to? Well, for one, you're not giving people what they want. You're spoon-feeding them an agenda. You're spoon-feeding them a narrative. And you expect people to really give a damn about that narrative instead of coming for the most important thing, to be entertained. And then the same thing goes on into, like, music and stuff like that. I don't care about your personal life. Or whatever this hell sex trafficking farm you got going on and stuff. You know, it's gross the fact that it happened, and I would not do business with you at all, especially now that I know. And then while we're on the subject here, I want to hear about the music. I want to see about, like, somebody who's iconic, like how, you know, and the thing is, the more fans you get, the more, like, targets are on your back and stuff. But I want to hear something iconic, like When Doves Cry or something like that. You know what I mean? I knew of Prince the singer, but I never knew of Prince Rogers Nielsen the person. You know what I mean? Like I know of Sting, but I don't know who Steve Borden is. I know of I know of Hulk Hogan, but I don't know who Terry Bollea is. It's one of those kind of things, y'all. You understand what I'm saying? In real life, those people, they might not be as great as you hope they are. And you would really hope. And then like stan culture, it's like when these people do something terrible and stuff, you shouldn't overlook it. You should be like, what the hell is going on here? And should I keep supporting this person or not? And then when at the same time, it's up to you whether you do or you don't. But don't worry about your fellow people out there who make that choice whether to stay or leave. It's really insane how this stuff goes down, but I'm letting you all know that. Like, certain people that were here and were icons, they're passing on. And I always say, well, what about the new icons? What about some people out here that really want to make it in this industry? Like, I still do. I'm not throwing away my dream just because a bunch of sex fiends are floating around. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. But it's wild, though. Because the more and more you realize it's not about the craft, it's about controlling people. And then not to mention keeping all of you as followers and tabs on everything, because that just shows their worth as a person. Isn't that sick? But that's how this whole thing goes. And like even the algorithm is an example of that. I guarantee if I started going ahead doing cookie cutter content and all this other maltose toeing the line kind of crap that certain people I know do, I'd probably be having a whole lot more on my followers stick than a little bit. But I'd feel real dirty about it. And it's not the reason for why I started J360 Productions. Nah, not the reason at all. I stay true to myself and my vision. And I wish a lot of y'all would do it too, because some of y'all caved easily too. I'm talking about like not the fans, I'm talking to other people out there who have created. And it's a shame. It's a shame you got to do all that stuff and then pretty much copy off of somebody else in hopes of trying to be who you are so somebody notices you. That's some sad shit. I wouldn't even wish it on my worst enemy. Whew. And I mean, it's a lot to cover, but like I say, all this celebrity stuff out here, you just got to look at it and you just got to be like, you know what? I don't need to be a part of it. It's just like when we dealt with R. Kelly. Oh, yeah. Surviving R. Kelly. Yeah, we managed to survive him, y'all. You did? You were there? Oh, no. I was talking about the documentary. But, think about how long it took us to get to R. Kelly, huh? It's wild. It's wild. And, like at the end of the day, it's not entirely the fans' fault for this. It's all that bullshit around the celebrity that allowed this. All of it. And, it makes you wish that you had like a giant gas can and you could just pour it on Hollywood, light a match, and don't look back. I mean, I can't be the only one that feels like that sometimes, right? You understand what I mean? Like, all this stuff. I'm willing to just let it go, But I still got to make these movies and I still got to do these things, but I just don't have to associate with them. So that's always a good thing. And, we do have some people out here that are respectful, but... it's got to be up to you guys to make that decision. It just can't be me because, like I said, a lot of the people that I like passed on. And then those that are still there, they're still taking care of their craft, but a lot of them are semi-retired and all, and, in hopes of everything else. Like I always say this, like, who's really saying something in the rap game now? And I don't mean controversially, and I don't mean like, oh, Puff Daddy did this to my asshole. No, I don't mean that. Ugh. That's terrible for me to say that. I apologize for those of you that are visionaries. But, ugh. But yeah. I'm like, who's really saying something in the rap game? Who's really killing it in the comic scene right now? Who's really doing, like... really taking center stage about things. And not trying to be liked. Just really being themselves and making it. I just always wondered that. I mean, I can talk about me forever, but I always say, like, I always wonder that. Well, maybe that person will reveal themselves eventually, but like I say, though, when it comes to stan culture, those celebrities don't know you. All right? They don't know you as a friend. They don't know you personally. They don't know you, and they probably will never know you. You bought all that merch and everything, and it doesn't mean anything. It's good that you are inspired and idolized by that person. And hopefully, if you want to become a musician, you'll not be like any of those scumbags over there. You'll be something 10 times better than what they are, and you'll actually run things right, and you'll give people inspired hope to even give a damn about entertainment in the West, Western cultures again. You see what I'm saying? And because like over there in the Pacific, they doing just fine. I mean, sure, you'll have the controversies, and you'll have all of the stuff that some of those idols go through, and it's wild with that. But you know, like you outside of all that stuff, though, there are people out there that really love the craft, that really do the things that they love to do, and they don't seem to be in too much trouble all the time. But Japan does have a stalking problem over there too. Yeah, it's wild. I was going to talk about stalking entirely, and those kind of fans, ugh. To hell with them. They're gone. Like, you really can't talk to them without a professional being there. That's therapy needed right there. But hey, what else are we going to... Like, what else are we going to do about it, right? What can we do? Well, we can hope that people will actually mature a little bit more and understand some responsibility and everything, and realize that, you know, these are just people, and it's not you, and you still got a chance if you're not involved in that stuff. And the truth will always come out, no matter what it is. But it's just a rough time right now. It would be hard to be a fan of any of those people that are involved in the industry. Because it seems to be an ongoing group of fuckery that just keeps going on. And it doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. Especially since Cat Williams brought out a lot of this stuff earlier this year. But, oh, by the way, did you know that there's a calendar now that certain publications are using to cement that? And there's already 3 on there? Yeah. I'm getting so sick of it, man. But other than that, though, I'm not going to stop doing what I love to do. And those of you out there, hopefully you learned something from all the wild stuff I talked about tonight. And then, you know, we could talk about something even more wonderful on the next episode of the J-Man Show. But you see, I sorely doubt it, because there's going to be some more fuckery to talk about. But all in all, though, at least J360 Jams is happening tomorrow. So that's something exciting to look forward to. But until then, you all take care of yourselves. Until we catch up again, this is J-Man signing off. Peace.